नमस्कार, मैं हूं आपके साथ रोहित। हमेशा से विपक्ष चीन को लेकर केंद्र की मोदी सरकार, गृह मंत्री अमित शाह और विदेश मंत्री जयशंकर पर हमलावर रहता है और इसको लेकर सरकार की तरफ से भी समय समय पर जवाब दिया जाता है। लेकिन इस बार चीन और पाकिस्तान को लेकर कांग्रेस के सामने पहुंचे जयशंकर और जयशंकर ने जो बोला उसे सुनकर चीन और पाकिस्तान के साथ कांग्रेस के लोग सुन्न हो जाएंगे। जी हां, विदेश मंत्री जयशंकर ने एक बार फिर चीन और कांग्रेस के साथ ही पाकिस्तान को जबरदस्त लपेटा है। न्यूज एजेंसी एएनआई के साथ बातचीत करते हुए विदेश मंत्री ने कांग्रेस जॉर्ज सोरस से लेकर विदेशी मीडिया पर निशाना साधा है। जब उनसे पूछा गया कि कांग्रेस कहती है कि ना तो आप और ना ही पीएम मोदी चीन की बात करते हैं, इस पर जयशंकर ने कहा तो आखिर एलएसी पर सेना कौन तैनात कर रहा है? वहां सेना राहुल गांधी ने नहीं भेजी है, नरेंद्र मोदी ने सेना भेजी है। शांति काल के दौरान एलएसी पर अब तक की सबसे बड़ी ऐतिहासिक सैन्य बलों की तैनाती की गई। जयशंकर ने कहा कि आखिर चीन पर तैनाती हम ही तो कर रहे हैं। शांति काल के दौरान चीनी सीमा पर सबसे बड़ी संख्या में सैन्य बलों की तैनाती की गई, लेकिन विपक्ष हमको सिर्फ बदनाम कर रहा है। सुनिए और क्या कुछ कहा जयशंकर ने।
How does it impact us? That's really your question.
Yeah.
What it does is, I have to often, as part of my narrative setting, explain things to foreign audiences. So I give you an example. Take this whole scaremongering that millions of people are going to lose citizenship. Now, you tell people saying that, look, this was said. Now, 1 year has passed, 2 years has passed, 3 years. Where are these people? After all, we were supposed to have a cataclysm in 2020. So, and when you, even citizenship, when you start reasoning with people, ask them saying, okay, tell me, do you not have a criteria of citizenship? Do you not use language? Or some people use religion. People use language, they use religion, they use education, some of them even use income, some use ethnicity. So when you tell people saying, look, reflect on your citizenship practice. I mean, what do you do? So often what happens is, and see, that's where the battle of narratives is very powerful. Read the bulk of international papers, especially the Anglosphere papers, but all of them. How many of them tell you 370 was a temporary provision? I challenge you to show me one.
Yeah.
They don't. It's written there in bold letters, in capital letters in the Constitution.
But then that's because India itself didn't put across that point of view,
No,
right?
no,
It's
hello,
like the
no,
plebiscite.
no,
it is true.
Sorry. Listen, I can put across something. If you have shut your ears to it, no amount of hammering away at it.
It's not. See, when Kashmir was being discussed, Pakistan used to keep saying plebiscite, plebiscite, plebiscite. Till the 90s, that word plebiscite kept hammering. It was, that it is a disputed issue. Till India's narrative started being heard. Unless you are loud and you impose your narrative, you don't get heard in the world.
No, I completely agree with you, Smita. So I try not to be loud. I try to get my narrative across in an elegant and effective way, maybe at times sharper than people may want. But I accept your point that we need to get our narrative across, and that is exactly what we are trying to do in foreign policy. But I also put it to you sometimes that I feel that I'm talking to an audience which is deliberately deaf, that they do not want to hear sometimes, they do not want to absorb sometimes. That and there is a very strong bias. I mean, let's be frank about it. Newspapers, there are newspapers, I don't want to go into names, who will publish something absolutely ridiculous on one side, and you say, okay, I want to counter it. They say, no, hang on a moment, I'm busy doing a fact check on what you are saying. So we saw this bias very, very clearly over the last 4 years. I think in fact, I expect it to, if anything, grow as the election comes closer, because I don't think, this is without a political direction and purpose.
So domestic politics playing a part.
Domestic politics, it could be domestic politics, it could be COVID, it could be, it could be different.
Big business playing its part also.
It could be. Look, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. Okay, what I'm explaining to you is actually politics at work.
Okay,
it doesn't have to be conspiracy at work.
Okay.
There are, why is it difficult to understand that there are ideologies and political forces outside India very similar to those in India, and the two are working hand in glove? I mean, I'm putting a perfectly common sense proposition before you. And part of the problem is when political forces in India are not doing so well electorally, they tend to kind of summon up this this support system, if you would, or the echo chamber, or call it what you would.
They are the Congress party is saying that that the Indian government is, the Modi government is defensive, reactive when it comes to China. That neither Mr. Modi nor you even mention China. You just say eastern neighbor.
Hello, please. Then they must have some problem understanding words beginning with a C. Please look at everything I've said. That's not true.
And what about this thing that they say that almost 1,000 square kilometers has gone and the foreign minister is not facing facts, not telling us the truth in parliament?
No. Look, I think they are deliberately misrepresenting the situation. I give you two very specific examples of that. You remember that ho halla which happened on a bridge? You know, they were building a bridge in Pangong Tso.
Yeah.
When did that area actually come under Chinese control?
Yeah, I've seen that. You said that it is long back.
I'll tell you when it came. The Chinese first came there in 1958 and Chinese captured it in October 1962. Now you're going to blame Modi government in 2023 for constructing a bridge with the Chinese captured in 1962? And you don't have the honesty to say that is where it happened. Or let me give you another example. You know, these border villages. Now there were border villages which have come up in areas which the Chinese actually, you know, in Longju, there was a clash and it's not a secret, you know, at that time it was hotly debated in India, in the parliament, in the media. So what happens, you do the smoke and mirrors, you know, say, oh, there is something happening here. It's almost like 1962 never happened. It is like, you know, we should be, let me give you a very a different example. Everybody say, you know, we should be having our troops up there, we should be building border infrastructure. Hello, why didn't you build that border infrastructure? I just look at the budget of the border infrastructure. During the Modi period, the budget has gone up 5 times. You know, till 2014, roughly it was 3,000, 4,000 crores was the budget. Today it is 14,000 crores. If you look at the roads which are built, you look at the bridges that are built, they have doubled or tripled. You look at the tunnels which are taking place. I mean, this government is serious about border infrastructure. Whereas we know the underlying thinking earlier was, you know, let's leave it like that, then the Chinese can't come inside. Which meant you had no intention of contesting them when they came. So, you know, I find it very thick that, you know, look, I don't think, personally, I would get into a blame game. You know, what happened in 62 happened. But if you now want to whitewash all that and say everything happened only in 2020, I have to call you out, no?
So you're fortifying the border, the boundary, India-China. So does that make China now the biggest threat to India? Are we in a state of a quasi-war-like situation, conflict-like situation?
No. Look,
where are we?
No. I first of all, I'm not using the word we are fortifying it. I think we are legitimately building our border infrastructure because they have built their border infrastructure. In my view, we should have done it 25 years ago.
Again, we are reactive, that means.
I mean,
Your words, Dr. Jaishankar.
No, not at all. Look, they are the bigger economy. I mean, what am I going to do? As a smaller economy, I'm going to go pick a fight with a bigger economy. It's not a question of reactive, it's a question of having common sense. So, secondly, please bear in mind one thing. We had an agreement that you're not supposed to bring military to the border in large numbers. So, by that logic of yours, I should be the first to break the agreement.
Why not?
No, why should I? Because it doesn't make. Look, please understand.
Why are
one
we
thing.
always
hello.
the ones not breaking an agreement, and it's always the other side breaking the agreement?
No, Smita, I think you need to sort of take a very
non-aggressive.
considered considered view of this.
Okay.
We don't. Why do we reach agreements? We reach agreements because it is in our interest to stabilize a border or a situation. Okay, it's not out of love and affection and sentiment that you do. It's cold calculation and common sense. Okay, our agreements with China were reached in 1993-96. I'm not even getting into which government, etc. I think I try to avoid this whole debate. Okay, I don't like in foreign policy. Maybe it is because I've been myself so long in this field. I don't like to necessarily say these people were right and those people are wrong. I don't think it serves the nation well.
Okay.
But if I do find that others are playing a political game where everything is being blamed on the present dispensation and entire history is being whitewashed, I think the history has to come out. Okay. Now, on the question of breaking the agreement or not breaking the agreement, generally countries as a rule, sensible countries do not, because what do you need most in international, if you have a reputation as a country which breaks agreement, what do you think is the worth of your agreement?
That is China. Where have they kept the agreement with any country?
Hello.
Or Pakistan for that matter.
From 1993, 1996
okay, not a
to
single
2020.
bullet.
No, forget bullet. From 93, 96 till 2020, was that agreement observed or not? So how can you say, the agreement is not worth a piece of paper and nothing, all agreements must be
They
broken?
took Aksai Chin.
1962.
62.
They took Aksai Chin between 1958 and 1962.
Okay.
So, if you didn't need agreements, why did you sign them? I mean, you went in 1988. Rajiv Gandhi went to Beijing in 1988.
88, correct.
Okay.
December.
You signed agreements in 93, 96. I don't think signing those agreements was wrong. I disagree with you. And this is not a political point I'm making.
Okay.
I think those agreements were signed because at that time we needed to stabilize the border. And they did stabilize the border. Please also note that. So this suggestion of yours that people sign and compulsorily break the next day, that's not true. Now,
why can we not come to an agreement on where is the boundary, how many rounds of talks, and it's non-conclusive? Because
when people are, their claims, when any other country's claims are not reasonable, you will not come to agreement. You and I can come to an agreement. If I make claims on you which are not reasonable, but you will concede it because 25 rounds have happened. You have to look at, what is being discussed as well, no?
Right.
So,
okay.
So look, if I were to sum up the China thing, please do not, buy this whole, I would say, again, I use this word, this narrative that somewhere government is on the defensive, somewhere we are being accommodative. I ask people, if we were being accommodative, who sent the Indian army to the LAC? Rahul Gandhi didn't send them. Narendra Modi sent them. Okay, we have today the largest peacetime deployment in our history on the China border. Okay, and we are keeping troops there at a huge cost with great effort. We have increased our infrastructure spending on the border 5 times in this government. So now tell me who's the defensive accommodative person. In fact, the question you should ask is who's actually telling the truth, who's depicting things accurately, who's playing footsie with history. I think those are the questions which should be asked.